Without his mansion, money, or butler, who is the absolute Batman? Welcome to the Comicstorian Complete Story series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Absolute DC has begun, starting with Absolute Batman, written by Snyder. A version of Bruce Wayne without the Wayne fortune and all that came with it. Today, we get a glimpse at his origin and see how he handles the gangs rampaging through this new Gotham. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. Sometime in the past, a young Bruce Wayne leans over the sign for the Bat House. His eyes widened in fascination with the mural. But he turns when his father calls out to him. Thomas Wayne gathers his class at the Gotham Zoo, informing his son that there will be time to visit the Bat House later. But now, a motorcycle roars through the dark and grimy streets of Gotham. It's different from the last time the writer was here. The outward appearance is a shinier city, raising up into the night sky, taller and brighter than before. But the writer knows the truth. He passes the homeless tents to alleys. He sees the criminals waiting in the shadows for someone to witlessly walk by. He turns the motorcycle down an alley and finally stops at his safe house. Alfred Pennyworth pulls off his helmet as he looks around the dark streets. But he doesn't see anything. He chains the motorcycle to the building before heading inside. The safe house is small, allowing him enough room for a kitchenette and a bed. His arsenal displayed on the wall. While his tea brews, Alfred tries to reach out to Julia, his daughter. He doesn't even know if she still lives in Gotham, as they haven't spoken in years. And there is no answer. He leaves a message with a sigh. He finally sits down with his tea and boots up his secure computer. Pennyworth signing in. Connection secure, he reports. There's a brief moment before his handler finally starts speaking. Tea as good as you remember? His handler asks. Alfred shrugs. Delightful. What's the assignment? Images flash across the screen as the handler explains that in the past 3 months, a gang known as the Party Animals have been sowing chaos across the city, raising the murder rate in Gotham by 700% on their own. Alfred sighs as he hears the reasoning. I read the docket, but can I ask why you pulled me out of Singapore? I was this close to the target I've been chasing for months, he says. You're needed there. Your assignment is strictly surveillance. Gather information on the Party Animals, but do not engage, his handler orders. There is a momentary pause before they continue. One note, there might be another player in town. We've only caught glimpses, but he seems to be circling the gang as well. If he gets close, you have authorization to engage him, the handler orders before signing off. Alfred sighs in the quiet safe house. He finishes his tea before picking up his pistol and jacket and heading back out into the night. Stepping outside, he stares in surprise for a moment as he sees that the chain on his lock was cut and his motorcycle is gone. I hate this town, Alfred hisses through gritted teeth. The next day, Croc's gym. Massive fists smacking against a heavy punching bag. Bruce Wayne moves quickly for a man his size, his fist and feet slamming into the bag, drawing looks of shock from those around him. Memories of that day at the zoo flash through his mind. His final moments with his father. The class was looking at the lions, and Thomas discussed with his son that the family would be going out to a movie that night. As the memories of gunshots flash before his eyes, Bruce hits the bag hard enough to break through the canvas, sending sand everywhere. Really? Waylon asks as he walks over, cradling a crocodile. Bruce sighs and stares at the mess. Sorry, Waylon, he whispers. The gym owner shakes his head and smiles a little. So, let's make it 90 for the bag and 30 for the sand, he says. The sand comes in the bag, Bruce points out as he takes off his equipment and grabs his gym bag. "For the cleanup of the sand, my friend. My time is costly these days," Waylon says as he pets his croc. Bruce can't believe his friend is going through with his exotic pet scheme and points out that having Ozzy help him out with the logistics isn't a great idea. "He's gonna get you busted any day now," Bruce says as he pulls on his jacket. Bruce heads towards the door, with Waylon asking if he's coming to poker this week. "Everyone's in this week. Eddie, Harvey, Oz. I even think Selena might," Waylon says. But Bruce shakes his head. "At least tell me you're going to the town hall meeting tonight," Waylon presses. But Bruce once again shuts him down and heads towards the door. "The whole city's coming apart. These party animals are destroying everything," Waylon shouts for him. "I gotta go," Bruce calls over his shoulder, promising to pay for the bag. Waylon watches his friend leave. "This is our home, man. Someone's gotta do something," Waylon sighs. He turns and looks at a picture of the old neighborhood friends. That night, aboard the yacht of Roman Sionis, Don Maroney and Don Falcone sit across from the masked crime lord at an overstuffed dining table. Nearby, a masked child and woman sit in the pool, while a masked DJ plays music nearby. Maroney leans across the table, pointing at Roman with his cigar. "Well, rumor is, these party animal pieces of shit are your guys," Maroney snaps, reminding Roman that there are rules in Gotham. Falcone nods, explaining that Roman needs to take his gang and leave Gotham by dawn, or they're all dead. The woman gets out of the pool, putting on a robe and joining them at the table. "Baby, show them the masks," she says as she sits down. The child joined them with a towel wrapped around his shoulders. Roman turns his masked face to her, perhaps smiling. "Good idea, sweetheart," he says. Behind them, in the shadows of the ship, lights begin to click on, revealing masks in cases. Roman explains that these are death masks, molded from people's corpses. As more lights flick on, Maroney's eyes widen as he sees the face of his brother. The lights continue to click on as Roman shows both Maroney and Falcone the faces of all their lieutenants and family members in the mob. Roman sits and pours himself a glass of champagne. "I have 2 places left, just for you," Roman says. The child is suddenly behind them, stabbing Maroney in the eyes before leaping up and pulling a garrote tight against Falcone's throat. Roman sighs and sips from his glass, ordering the DJ to turn the music up. The next day, the party animals continue their reign of chaos throughout the city, but as night falls, someone prepares to fight back. Bruce Wayne stands upon a rooftop, pulling on his cowl and leaping off into the night air. At the town hall meeting, Mayor Gordon stands before the people of Gotham, telling them that he is doing everything possible to end the party animal problem. But the people don't believe him, shouting that he is being soft on crime, despite his history as police commissioner. Outside, Alfred is in a nearby building. He watches as a large group of party animals approach the town hall, weapons at the ready. He taps a button on his comms. "Pennyworth reporting, sir. Party animals are at the site. Heavily armed. Mass casualties possible, sir. Permission to engage," he says. There's a brief pause. "Permission denied, Pennyworth. Whatever happens there, observe only," the handler orders. Inside, people are still shouting, and a woman finally stands, looking not to Gordon, but to the faces of the crowd. "People, look at us. This is what they want. All of us are fighting, scared, blaming each other," she says. She points to Gordon, explaining that she works with the mayor's office and she trusts him to solve this problem. But it's not just up to him or Commissioner Bullock. It's up to all of us to stop these killers, to come together, she says. Suddenly, The doors creak open, and a grenade bounces into the room. The flashbang detonates, and everyone screams in fear as they hit the ground. The doors burst open, and masked criminals charge in, automatic weapons raised. But Gordon stands tall on the stage. "Up here! Look at me! Whatever you want, deal with me!" he shouts. The lead party animal nods and aims his rifle. "Bye, Jimmy," he calls, and fires off a burst. The rounds chew through the podium, and Gordon hits the ground, grunting with pain. The leader orders his men to fire, but something grabs them and pulls them outside, and the doors slam shut behind them. Officer Barbara Gordon charges forward and pulls the door open. Her pistol is ready, but she stops short as a masked man stares at her. "Whatever you hear, you do not open this door," Batman growls. Nearby, Alfred watches with interest, ignoring his orders to engage with the vigilante. He watches as Batman drops smoke pellets, obscuring himself from the small army of the gang. Gunfire rattles in front of the city hall, but the Batman moves quickly through the smoke, lashing out with punches and kicks to knock the gang members aside. His cape seems to harden as he twirls, using it as a weapon. The first group is down, but the second charges forward. Alfred watches as Batman reaches up and pulls the ears off of his cowl, revealing blades. He whirls through the crowd, slashing and cutting. Alfred is impressed. Batman's knife work is exact. He cuts where he knows to do damage, but not kill his opponents. An idealist. Bloody hell. Alfred sighs as he watches through his scope. Only a few of the party animals remain, and a large one steps forward, brandishing a meat cleaver. But Batman reaches into his belt, pulling out a set of pliers. He reaches up and pulls the bat signal off of his chest and connects them, creating a battle axe. The large party animal charges forward with a bellow of rage, but Batman whirls and cuts the hand from the gang member's body. The criminal looks down in shock, clutching at the stump where his hand used to be. "I hear they can reattach them sometimes. There's a hospital 3 blocks south of here. Or is it east? I forget. I'd run if I were you," Batman growls as he looks at the remaining criminals. They all suddenly turn and run, rushing down the steps of the city hall to escape. On the rooftop, Alfred nods. Well done. But if he were a true tactician, he'd have set a trap for those fleeing, Alfred thinks to himself. But he watches as Batman pulls out a detonator and blows up the street as the party animals reach it. Smoke fills the scene. Alfred pulls out his shotgun and descends upon the carnage. Moving silently through the smoke, he comes up behind Batman and aims his weapon. The high-tech shotgun begins to whirl to life. That is the sound of a DC-34 automatic shotgun, son. There are only 3 of them in the world. It could blow your brains all over this sidewalk before you even blink, Alfred hisses. But Batman moves fast, whirling and kicking the old man in the stomach. He snatches the shotgun away. "Sounds dangerous," Batman growls before leaping up and away. Alfred leaps to his feet, but is shocked to find the vigilante has disappeared. But the fight isn't over. Alfred spends the next several days tracking the vigilante, putting all of his skills to use in discovering that it is Bruce Wayne. He follows the young man as he moves around the city and learns all he can about him. Bruce Wayne grew up in Crime Alley. His mother is a social worker, his father a teacher. Bruce was smart, excelled in school, but his life truly began when his class took a trip to the Gotham Zoo. There was a shooter. Thomas Wayne had hidden the children in the bat house, shutting the door behind them before turning to confront the shooter. Bruce had called out to his father before they were locked in the dark. For a time, Bruce had lashed out at the world. But then, he turned his life around, went to college, varying his studies, mechanics, chemistry, criminal psychology, military theory, socio-cultural history, preparing himself. Finally, he returned home and went to work for the city. Now, Alfred watches as Bruce walks through his old neighborhood, finally arriving at his destination. Alfred watches as Bruce stares up at a woman sitting on her front step. The woman smiles at Bruce. Seriously? Making your poor mother wait an hour out here on the cold, hard streets of Gotham? Martha Wayne asks. Bruce helps her up and puts an arm around his mother's shoulder. Sorry, Mom. I just swung by the zoo. I heard what happened at the town hall last night. Are you okay? He asks as he leads her inside. Alfred watches from across the street. He sighs. He doesn't want to take the kid in front of his mother. Later, Bruce sits in one of his many belfries, the penthouse of the richest buildings in Gotham, a place that is rented but never occupied. He taps a button on his computer setup. There's more to these ape skull masks than first appears. They aren't just for protection or intimidation. When I cracked one open, the circuitry inside, Bruce says into a recorder. But there is a sound behind him, and he taps the button to cut the feed. Alfred is moving through the shadows, his pistol at the ready. He knows Bruce is aware of his entrance. Pretty smart, mate, hiding out in the tops of these buildings. All the top floors are owned by companies and oligarchs who never use them. Just hollow investments. You know this, because you worked for them, Alfred calls. He steps around the corner, pistol up and at the ready. But I'm closing you down right now, Alfred snaps. But Batman is standing behind him, stolen shotgun at the ready. He racks around and raises the weapon. Alfred cocks an eyebrow at him. Thought you were better than that, son. You get cornered and all those ideals go out the window? Alfred asks. He lowers his weapon and holds out his hand. Give me the gun, kid. You're no killer, Alfred orders. But Batman fires. The blast takes Alfred in the face and knocks him to the ground. He grits his teeth through the pain. Ugh! The damn kid converted the shotgun to non-lethal, he hisses. He looks up at the sound of a revving motor, and Batman suddenly screeches by on Alfred's stolen bike. You're not the only one who follows people. Batman growls at him before roaring forward and leaping out of the building, shattering the window and sailing off into the night. Alfred watches him, blood leaking from the tiny batarangs sticking in his face. Where the hell is he going to land? Alfred hisses. Later, Alfred sits in his safe house in front of his computer, his face bandaged up. I'll get him next time he interferes, he reports. Understood. Just stay focused on the party animals, the handler orders. There's another pause before the handler continues. Oh, thought you'd want to know. Your old target. We lost him somewhere in the Philippines. He's in the wind, the handler says. Meanwhile, in Manila, 2 helicopter pilots are preparing for a flight. The co-pilot turns to his partner. So just sir? Nothing else? He asks. The pilot shakes his head. Nope, don't even know his real name. When you're one of the 30 richest men on the planet, you can do whatever you want, I guess, he says with a shrug. The pilot reminds his partner not to make any jokes. Why? The co-pilot asks as they watch the man approaching. The guy never laughs. Not at anything. Ever. The pilot begins to say, right before their boss slides open the helicopter doors. His face is obscured by the shadows as he climbs in. The Joker. And that is where we end issue 1 of Absolute Batman. Personally, I'm already loving this comic, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. It's a huge shame that Benny didn't get to read this, as I know he would have loved it too. But what did you think? Let us know down below. Like and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.